Excellent.
Hey, gentlemen, how are you guys today?
Very
Well,
good.
Counselor, how are you?
Well, thank you.
Excellent.
We are all basking in the glow of some great press that was in the Boston Globe over the week.
Yeah, I couldn't.
Yesterday. So
That was behind the paywall, so I couldn't read it.
Yeah,
yeah, I'm behind a paywall too. So
same here. I heard a lot
can read.
about it, you know, but
I made
haven't read it.
I made photocopies. If you go in a private window or go in incognito, you can usually open 2 or 3 articles that it's, and then you're locked out.
Okay.
I didn't know that. Then I'll do that. What was the gist?
Brockton's the place you want to be.
Yeah, I heard there was a lot of development talk, a lot of, they interviewed Ted Carmen. Ted sent a video that I couldn't see, but they had a quote from Joffrey Anatole, women
The other article had,
Jalea.
yeah.
Rob, didn't yesterday, I kind of remember you saying that there were announcements to make regarding new development or something? Did something come down the pipe?
Robert will be announcing something soon, but we don't want to get ahead of ourselves yet.
We'll know tomorrow, Jeff.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Regarding the development, or what's it? At least what's the subject matter?
Subject matter is development, always with the redevelopment, but it's more so finally moving. There's some update on 93 Center Street. We'll leave it at that.
Okay, yes, good.
Okay, so just remind you guys, we have attendees who are in the room, and we are now recording also. I am going to share my screen so that we can start, at least have a background and have some discussion. I don't know how many people will be joining us, but it's always good to have that there. Keeps us on task.
Oh, I'm sorry. What additional thing? Sorry, Rob. The recording for Cochrane, the Cochrane development. Where can I find that?
As I sent it off to IT, it should be posted shortly. I don't know if it has been posted yet. I don't have access. I can't get to it right now, but it'll be on the city's webpage under Planning and Economic Development, and I'll send you the link to it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Rob, you want to open this up so we can see the participants and I can make my little spiel, introduce myself. You can introduce yourself, and Counselor,
We're open.
Are we open?
Your spiel, yes.
Oh, fantastic. I didn't realize we were already open. Well, Thank you folks for joining us. Attendees, we appreciate you joining us. This is actually the second meeting of public meeting for Trout Brook Development, better known or formerly known as CSX. My name is Robert Jenkins. I'm the Executive Director of the Brockton Redevelopment Authority. We are the entity or agency that is putting together the urban revitalization of Trout Brook. I'm going to let the other 2 gentlemen who are doing the presentations introduce themselves. Mr. May, go right ahead.
Well, I was going to start with the counselor, if you would.
Sure.
Great. Thank you, Rob. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jeffrey Thompson. I am the Ward 5 City Councilor. The Trout Brook redevelopment is within Ward 5. And it's an exciting development. It's 36 acres of wild land that we as a city have control over for development from the ground up. This is the most important development project in Brockton outside of what we're doing in our downtown area. We're looking to develop this under some new zoning uses, the commercial flex use, which Rob May will further explain. But this is an exciting development. We need to go through this public meeting process as part of the process to have this Trout Brook area designated as an urban renewal district. Once it is designated an urban renewal district, then it will have certain incentives attached to the district, which would incentivize development of this piece of land. I appreciate everyone being here, learning more about what we're looking to develop here. And, you know, thank you, Mr. Jenkins. Thank you, Mr. May, for taking your time today to do this presentation. And I look forward to watching this again. Thank you.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rob May. I'm Director of Planning and Economic Development for the City of Brockton. And I want to thank Councilor Thompson and Robert Jenkins from the BRA for joining us tonight. We had 3 attendees. We have 3 attendees. We now have a 4th attendee. And I'm going to promote you all to what they're called panelists. And I'm doing the big air quotes just in case you can't see that on the screen. So that unmutes your microphone and lets you speak freely. I hope that we're not going to have a big rugby scrum, but you know, I want to talk a little bit about the project. Some of you may have been or on a past conversation or know a little bit about what's going on here. So the first part of the presentation, which was on that we did at the last meeting, talks about why this area qualifies as an urban renewal district. And there's legal hurdles and different things that we have to do. But the meat of this proposal and what most people are interested in is why or what we want to see develop in this area. And so over 2 years ago, the city put together a working group that included then Ward Councilor Ann Beauregard, several property owners, adjacent residential property owners, a couple of business owners, some real estate professionals, community advocates, the transportation committee folks, and we all got together to kind of develop a master plan or a vision for what the Trout Brook area was going to be like. We had a couple of public meetings back then, and the overwhelming consensus was that most people liked what we were doing and that we should advance to the second stage, which is creating the urban renewal district. And while we had finished up the plan, which gives you a vision of what we want to see this area look like, the urban renewal district actually gives the power and the authority to the redevelopment authority to make that vision happen. So it has to go through city council, it goes through the planning board, it goes to the state, and 2 different state agencies take a look at this before it gets approved by the state. And then once it's in place, it would last for 20 years. And like I said earlier, it gives the redevelopment authority some particular powers to acquire property and to make projects happen by putting together deals or funding infrastructure or a whole series of different activities that are allowed under the law. But I want to talk a little bit more about what we see the future use of this plan. And so most of you may know this area lies just north of Court Street here on the south and south of Elliott Street here on the north. You have the current MBTA commuter rail line or the CSX line running north to south. This area right here is where the city police station is, and this is downtown Brockton. So it's a stone's throw from where all the big development is happening now in the community. If you've ever been back in this area, it's vacant land. It's the largest piece of vacant land in the city that an underdeveloped piece of land in the city, other than the fairground. So CSX used to park trains there. People would ship materials in and out. They gave up that business. They moved all their freight facilities over to Worcester. And so the yard has sat vacant since at least the 90s and probably before then. There's also some frontage businesses along Court Street and along Freight Ave or Freight Street that are currently in business. Some of them will want to stay there. Some of them will want to grow in our community. And some of them may, over time, be looking for new homes. But we're hoping to create an environment here that allows for a rich diversity of development, that provides opportunities for jobs, for environmental cleanup, for stormwater management and prevent flooding, and also some housing opportunities. We call it the Trout Brook Redevelopment District because Trout Brook is a waterway that runs through the community, and it splits the site north to south. So you can see my cursor, I hope, running up and down there. Our goal is to use that water feature as a defining element of our district. It kind of separates the more heavy uses on the west side from the residential neighborhood that's on the east side, but it also serves as a natural resource in providing a place that we could store stormwater and prevent flooding in the community, and also provide more open space. We also want to create a Riverside Trail multi-use path that will connect Puffer Park in the north with Snow Park in the south. And that is a very old planning strategy that was developed at least 20 years ago in what is called the Two Rivers Plan. And it calls for a green belt that connects along our rivers. And so we in the city have been implementing little bits and pieces of it. This would be one of the largest pieces of that path network. And so we're really excited about that opportunity. At the heart of this redevelopment plan, you'll see this area up here that designated as commercial flex. This is the first planned industrial development in the city in at least 50 years, if not more. We have industrial development that's occurred along Route 24, over on Manly, on Liberty Street. That's all happened, kind of haphazardly. There was nobody that put together a plan for a business park, which is why you see buildings that are, some are larger than others and some are sideways. And it's not the world's best layout for a district. What we are doing here is creating space for industry, for light industry, for commercial uses. And we're calling it or commercial flex because it could be anything from light manufacturing to maybe a brewing operation to maker space. It could be a contractor's facility. And then it could also go into office space or companies that are moving out of Boston are looking for space. And so this area could attract those kinds of uses. At the very front end of Court Street and kind of serving as the entryway to the rest of the district, there is a higher density mixed use district. It'll probably be multifamily, commercial on the first floor, residential above. It could also be retail on the first floor and office above. It still has to vet it out as to what the market is going to support, but it it serves as a connection between the downtown development and the rest of the park. And so it's about the same scale as what we see going on downtown. And then further up in the northeast here is a chance to reconnect the neighborhoods. If you've been up in this area, and I'm trying to, that's Williams Ave and Parker Street, you have a street where you have houses on one side of the street, but you have nothing on the other side, and that's because it was all the railroad yard. So we have an opportunity to finish that neighborhood out, create what we're calling starter homes. They're single family homes that are, you know, it's kind of your first home. It's not the place that you would probably live for the rest of your life, but it's a great place for small families to start out, get their feet underneath them, and then grow into the Brockton community. Most people have 3 or 4 homes in their lifetime, and this would be a great place to start because it has all this great new open space and access to parks. It has good schools nearby. Just south of here is an elementary school. And we have this job connection, and then of course, access to transit. So in all, we think that there could be as much as 225,000 square feet of commercial flex. You'll notice the slide says 150 or 185. That's because we were looking at one of these sites as a potential location for the new police station. We've since ruled that out and are looking at another site or at 2 other sites downtown. But since the police station wouldn't be going there, that then becomes more commercial flex, which means more tax revenue and more jobs for Brockton residents. Let me move to the next page. So move my screen around so I can see everything. So our planning objectives is to develop this underutilized piece of property to mitigate, the existing environmental contamination. There's a lot of cleanup that's already gone on the site, both by Brockton Iron and Steel and by CSX. It's gotten to a place where what they call an activities and use limitation. So we can now allow commercial development on those sites. It would need more cleanup if we were going to do residential development. We want to support jobs and create market rate housing. We talk about creating the walkway that connects the parks. You know, these 2 neighborhoods have been separated for 100 years at least since the railroad went through. And this is an opportunity to stitch those neighborhoods back together again. We also talked about the flood capacity and flood storage and stormwater management. So we'll clean the water as it heads downstream, but just as importantly, we're going to have a great natural resource. It serves 2 purposes. One is cleaning the water, but it also serves as a nice recreational area, passive recreational. It's a place that you would walk on the trail, you would stop at an overlook, you would see natural or wild animals enjoying, you know, a natural habitat, and really finish off a site that is important to our community. The rest of the slides continue on to talk about the objectives in more detail that we've just discussed. And this presentation is on our website, but that is pretty much the overview of what we're doing here. Now, right now, BRA had a public meeting in 2019. It seems like a million years ago. The planning board met in 2019, and by the time we brought it to city council just a couple of weeks ago, Mr. Jenkins felt it would be appropriate to bring this back to the community so that we could have more input, more communication with the area residents. It's my understanding that Robert will be going back to City Council in November, and that was a question?
That's correct. November
Okay.
6th. Mhm.
At which time we hope that City Council will advance this. The City Council needs to have a public hearing, which means at a Finance Committee meeting, they'll take public testimony. And we're hoping that we're answering most of your questions through these information meetings. And then once City Council votes to adopt this, we file it with the Department of Housing and Community Development, and we also file it with the Department of Environmental Review, MEPA. And they will make their comment, and hopefully we've done our homework, and they will then approve our urban renewal plan, and then Robert will start work on this. And I don't just mean Robert, that we're all part of this team that work on it. Right now, we're working on a application to FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, that would allow us to create a study for the stormwater management area. We're going to go back a page or two.
I'm sorry, that says 2019.
Yes, that's when we started. That's when we had
That's
our
when we
first
started.
meeting.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
No problem, no problem. So yeah, we've been at this for quite some time. So our first meetings were in 2019. And that's why we wanted to have more public conversation. So we're working on a grant application that will allow us to plan this stormwater management system and create a new urban park. We're also working on other applications to bring more grant funding. There's roads that need to be built and property that needs to be acquired. And so we're trying to get as much state and federal dollars that we can into this, and private sector dollars, so that the city of Brockton is made whole. And more importantly, that the BRA can put together deals with other people's financing and make these projects work. It's a federal opportunity zone, so there's already significant benefits for people to make long-term investments here. And we hope to be able to leverage those to bring this plan to fruition. I guess I could go on for hours, but nobody wants that.
You're right.
Least of all, Robert.
Yes.
So I guess we're going to open this up. You guys all have hot mics.
Yep.
And
Let me-
so
If I could just,
please ask questions.
let me just emphasize so folks understand, this is a 20-year plan, as Rob alluded to.
Oh, that was Destiny. I'm sorry. Hi.
Councilor Thompson also alluded to the fact that this is one of the, I guess, the last developments that's going on, big developments that'll be going on in the city. This is the largest parcel of vacant land that's very close to downtown. The BRA's role, the Brockton Redevelopment Authority's role, is one, once the plan is approved, to submit the plan, but as Rob says, to incentivize, carry out, implement the plan, the ideas. There's a lot of infrastructure work that's going to need to go into this, how we pay for it. But this is a time when you can do the planning for such a large scale revitalization effort. COVID will be over eventually. One of the things I think my board, myself, Rob, City Council wanted us to do is, as you see the last meeting, I know you pointed out it was October 2019 we had a meeting, but we actually had previous meetings back in May of 2019. So it was good to come back and actually refresh kind of what went over during the summer, over the fall, just so people can understand and see that this is a huge development and it's a huge commitment by the city. So with that said, we'd like to go ahead and open it up for, any questions
Well-
folks may have.
I do want to recognize Destiny from the mayor's office. If you want to introduce yourself, you are in our constituent services department.
All right, so good evening, everyone. Like Mr. May said, my name is Destiny Hanacho. I am Mayor Sullivan's constituent service liaison, and I'll just be filling him in tomorrow with some of these notes that I'm taking down. So, good evening, everyone.
Thanks for joining us.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Mr. Barry,
Yes,
go right ahead.
I'm the new owner of Brockton Iron and Steel.
Ah, we've spoken then, yes?
Yes, we have.
Excellent.
And I didn't realize we were going to be this far down the road, or it seems anyway. But I did purchase the property. It is an ongoing scrap and metal business. I've been involved in eminent domain and other properties. And I think most of the time in eminent domain takings, it's a good plan for relocating businesses that want to stay in business. And I think through history, disposals.
Did he freeze?
I think he froze up. While we're waiting for him to come back online, do you want to talk about the relocation process?
Sure.
Robert?
Sure. Oh, Mr. Barry, you froze there for a second. You want to finish your thought? Your comment?
Well, I guess my issue is, the question I have is, do I proceed spending monies? There's roof to go on the main business building. There's a lot of money spent to regroup and try and build a business. I'm kind of lost as to where to go, being a business that I just purchased.
Sure. And I know we talked, Mr. Barry, and when you were in the midst of acquiring it, and I told you then, this is a 20-year plan. 20 years, who knows where we'll be or what we'll be doing. I don't believe your building, or Rob, you may correct me, was that building designated as a acquisition?
Yes, it was, Robert. And it's
So-
the area that is identified as the potential public safety.
Yeah.
But now it would probably be a commercial flex.
Right. So Mr. Barry, to answer your question is, somewhere in the next 20 years, you'll have an opportunity to either relocate or stay where you are into a better building, negotiate a sale, negotiate a rebuild. We want you there, just so that you know. Brockton Iron Works has been there for a long time. And just like we said to a number of other buildings, I think at our first public hearing or public meeting, we're encouraging to keep the industry in Brockton. You are part of our tax base. We're going to work with you. Like I said, this is 20 years and it will be amended probably in year 5, 7, 9, 10, 15, 20. But you should invest in your property. Invest in your business. That's what you do. We want to encourage that. The more people you hire, the happier we are.
Very good.
You know?
All right, I appreciate it.
Robert, for the other businesses that might be on the line, or other property owners, would you like to talk a little bit about the relocation process and what happens when
Sure.
the redevelopment authority needs to step in?
Sure. When we do step in, and believe me, we reluctantly would ever want to do a eminent domain taking. Hopefully it's a either negotiated deal. You will be relocated. The redevelopment authority is responsible for your relocation. We'll assist you in finding an additional appropriate site. We'll negotiate to assist you if need be with the sale of your property or the acquisition of your property disposition. You may end up wanting to stay on this site. As we said, this is a commercial flex, which is a part of new zoning for Brockton. You may want to expand your business on your current site, acquire additional. That's what this is about. So just in regards to relocation, under Mass General Law and the federal, no federal money takes part in eminent domain takings. It has to be on the redevelopment authority's dime, our investment in the area. You should have gotten a notice of any tenant's business that was identified for disposition, acquisition, disposition. As you see from all where the commercial flex, Rob alluded to that the public safety building is no longer in play. We haven't even gotten this approved and there's already amendments to it. So as we go through this, I don't have a crystal ball, but as far as relocation, no one should be afraid of relocation. It's something that the redevelopment authority is responsible for.
Thank you, Robert. Does anybody else have comments or questions? And unfortunately, a lot of people are listed as numbers or Galaxy Notes or PMR. We don't know who you are, but when you do speak, if you'd like to speak, please let us know who you are so we can keep track of that for the record. And of course, for those of us like myself who are shy, you can use the question and answer option that is available through Zoom. And you can type a question and I'll read it online and answer it, and nobody needs to be the wiser.
We do have someone on chat, Pastor Rebecca. Senior pastor for the Haitian Assembly of God, 204 Court Street. What is exactly the plan for our building? At this point, the plan calls also, I believe you are designated as a...
No.
It's not.
She is not, no.
There is no plan for your building at this point in time.
What we would like to do, Pastor, is let me see if I can make my screen bigger. What we would like to do, here is your church here, and we would like to make improvements to the road network and the bridge that crosses the creek into your church and bring this into part of a, whoops, didn't mean to turn it blue, into a path of better circulation. Because I think right now you have people, to get to your church, you have to come through the CSX area, or not the CSX, but the Verizon building.
Yeah.
You come up through there and come across here, and we want to create a better roadway to access that area. And Pastor, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, this is Pastor Rebecca.
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Yes. Yes.
Hello, how are you?
Good. So we won't need to move. Is that so that's the that's what we wanted to really know. Is it so our building, we could still stay in there for the foreseeable future?
Yes, that is
As
correct.
it stands today, that's correct. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And hopefully we will have a nice walkway behind the church that you and your parishioners will be able to enjoy.
Nice green space. Mm-hmm. Open space.
Other questions or comments, please? You don't want to hear me keep talking.
Or me.
I'm sorry, it's Pastor Rebecca again.
Mm-hmm.
We received a letter that says our building was being that you guys had it as one of the buildings that will be purchased. So we just want to make sure, is that changed from when we received the letter, or was it always
I'd have to get a copy of that letter, and I don't have it in front of me. I should have the file, but I can.
Let's check our records and get back with the pastor.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Pastor, was that letter from Robert Jenkins?
One
Well,
second.
all of them are. Now I
Yeah.
think about it, they
Yeah.
all are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it an original signature, or did it look like it was a computer-generated signature?
Hang on, we'll take a look.
Mhm.
Well, we'll take a look, and we don't need to waste your time right now. We're always available. Does anybody else have any questions, guys? Gals? Residents, business owners, property owners,
People of interest, investors, developers?
Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy? Well, I guess I am not hearing anything, but we are taking public comments via email. So if you have a comment, you can email me at planning@cobma.us. That's planning@cobma.us, or you can email Robert at
R. Jenkins, Jenkins, at Brockton Redevelopment Authority.com, all spelled out.
and I'm sure you can also comment to Councilor Thompson, and his information is available on the city's webpage.
Matter of fact, you can find this, our Trout Brook revitalization plan on the BRA's website, the planning department's website, and the city's website. So the information is there.
And we also have a Facebook page. So with that, I want to thank you all for joining us this evening. And please don't be shy about asking questions or providing comments. So we look forward to working with you all in the future. All right. Have a great evening, everyone.
Folks, have a good evening. Thank you once again for joining us.
I want to thank you,
For
Paul
having me.
Bailey, for giving me the opportunity.
Yes, thank you
You're
all.
quite
Good night.
welcome.
Excellent.